Mark Zuckerberg has just shocked the entire world with his letter that he wrote to Jim Jordan, our man from Ohio, about how the Biden administration back in 2020 pressured him and his companies, aka Facebook and Instagram, to censor and suppress content. Gee, what a shock. It almost feels like, call me crazy, but it almost feels like, all of us quote unquote conspiracy theorists were actually right. And probably the main target and animus of these woke mafia media leftists, Donald Trump was right about everything too. I'm going to read this entire letter. It's only 2 pages long. Go through it, and then I can't wait. I'm going to give you my assessment, my analysis, and then I'm going to share with you a clip that's going to bring a huge smile to your face at the end. Oh, it's so beautiful. I can't wait for you to see this. Please stick around. I promise you it's not clickbait. You will not be disappointed. But let's read this letter together. I'll give you my analysis, and then I'll throw it off to you. Okay, so it starts off, I appreciate Chairman Jordan. I appreciate the committee's interest in content moderation on online platforms. As you are aware, Meta has produced thousands of documents as part of your investigation, made a dozen employees available for transcribed interviews. So yada, yada, yada. Let's get to the good stuff. There's a lot of talk right now how the U.S. government interacts with companies like Meta, and I want to be clear about our position. Our platforms are for everyone. We're about promoting speech. Interesting how he doesn't use the modifier free. And helping people connect in a safe and secure way. As part of this, we regularly hear from governments around the world and others with various concerns around public disclosure, discourse, and public safety. In 2021, this is the big one right here. These are the real incriminating paragraphs here. In 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction. And we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. In a separate situation, the FBI warned us about a potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family and Burisma in the lead up to the 2020 election. That fall, when we saw a New York Post story reporting on corruption allegations involving then Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's family, aka the Hunter laptop story, we sent that story to fact checkers for review and temporarily demoted it while waiting for a reply. It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation. And in retrospect, we shouldn't have demoted the story. We've changed our policies and processes to make sure this doesn't happen again. For instance, we no longer temporarily demote things in the US while waiting for fact checkers. Apart from content moderation, I want to address the contributions I made during the last presidential cycle to support electoral infrastructure. The idea here was to make sure local election jurisdictions across the country had the resources they needed to help people vote safely during a global pandemic. I made these contributions through the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. They were designed to be nonpartisan, spread across urban, rural, and suburban communities. Still, despite the analyses I've seen showing otherwise, I know that some people believe this work benefited one party over the other. My goal is to be neutral and not play a role one way or another, or to even appear to be playing a role. So I don't plan on making a similar contribution this cycle. Respectfully, Mark Zuckerberg, founder, chairman, and CEO, Meta Platforms. He also CCs farthest thing from honorable Gerald Nadler ranking member. I can't wait to hear your comments. Let me know what you think after the kind of initial read through of that. My thoughts are, I have zero clue what it's like to run a company of that size. The magnitude of a company that size is one of the biggest companies in the world. He is one of the richest people in the world. He's worth a couple, 100 billion, if not more. I can't imagine what the legal gymnastics you have to play every single day. And the fact that it was the FBI that came to him and warned him and pressured him, and the Biden administration is probably the one who pulled the levers. I just couldn't imagine what that must feel like and what one must go through thinking about your company, thinking about integrity, thinking about your own government coming after you. I don't understand what the pressures of and nuances of that. I wouldn't even understand or know or even come close to trying to ascertain or at least be confident in saying, I know what that feels like. I'm not letting him off the hook. We've known about this for a very, very long time. Most of you are probably watching this on YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google. There's been tons of shadow banning, secret suppression, and censorship on this platform. Twitter, the Twitter files that came out a couple of years ago after Elon Musk bought the company. I love X. I think X is the best social media platform out there. Follow me on X at Professor Ned, link in the comments and description. I think the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression is probably the most abundantly coalesced into the real vision of what freedom of speech really is, what our framers of the Constitution envisioned for what freedom of expression and freedom of speech is out of all the digital platforms. Trump said this as well. Trump talked about this, but all it takes is a little critical thinking, as I keep saying over and over, and critical discernment to understand that this stuff we didn't need him to tell us this. We knew this was happening. Is there anger? Is there frustration? Maybe even, dare I say, rage on my part? Absolutely, because you knowingly did something that you knew was wrong. And this letter doesn't change the fact that you should be held responsible. There will be hearings, there will be Judiciary Committee, Senate hearings, and there will be a lot of lawyers and a lot of back and forth. And I truly hope, if Zuckerberg is at all sincere in this letter, I truly hope that he will be forthcoming and not hide behind the fifth and legal jargon. I look at one thing really that stands out to me, that is the timing of this. We're less than 70 days away from the most consequential election of our lives. Why did he write this letter now? Why did this letter come out now? Is this indicative of a young man? I think he's only 40 years old. My wife is 40. Is this indicative of a young man who looks at things critically? There's no doubt that he's an intelligent dude. You can't be you can't not be intelligent and achieve the things that he has. Is this a sign of an intelligent man evolving, growing, modifying his viewpoints based on critical thinking and critical discernment? Or is this just a way of, hey, I'm caught red-handed. I was probably caught by somebody. Maybe there was a whistleblower. He's trying to get ahead of it. I have to think about my company. I have to think about my employees. I have to think about myself. I have to think about my credibility. So I'm going to jump out in front and just apologize before I have to apologize and forced to apologize in front of a judge, a court, or a committee hearing, or what have you. That could absolutely be true. And with all intents and purposes, this is completely selfish and just a way to save his own ass. However, what I think is more important is I look at how is this going to impact the number one thing that I care about, which is getting our country back. I think this has a huge impact on diminishing the already decaying credibility of Biden and Kamala Harris. I mean, I still don't know how you can have a brain inside your cranium and actually listen and actually go through what we saw at the DNC, nod your head yes, agree, sop it all up, and ask for seconds and say, I'm going to give my vote to that. It is beyond belief that people actually still think that this is the right person for the job, that this is the right person to lead the country, that this is the right person to hold the most important executive position in the land. The thing that I'm looking about is the ramifications on the election, the ramifications and the impact, the consequences of this on who we are going to get to lead our country. I think this cannot bode any better for anyone other than Trump and what we're trying to do here on this channel, which is get our country back. And I think it absolutely is a huge blow to Comrade Kamala, because it's Biden's administration that was the one pressuring Zuckerberg. We knew they buried the Hunter Biden laptop story. We knew that they interfered. We knew that they suppressed all this COVID information. And, you know, I have to say that after everything that's come out, the only statement I agree with is, you know, hindsight is always 20/20. After all, I've done my own research, after all my own due diligence, I've done my own qualitative, quantitative research. I can say without a shadow of hyperbole, something is fishy in the COVID-19 deployment, the vaccines, Fauci's response, the lies that have come out, the deception that has come out. Something stinks to high heaven. I'm not going to say it. One thing I will say, though, that is really cool. I'm going to show you that clip I promised you, but before I show you that amazing clip that I promise you won't disappoint me, check out this quick clip of after President Trump was in Butler, Pennsylvania, and, you know, almost lost his life. Check out what Zuckerberg said after that. I did a video on this, but if you forgot, check this out.
Now, look, I mean, there's obviously a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. I mean, the historic events over the last, like over the weekend. And I mean, on a personal note, it's, you know, I mean, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
Now, this was pretty soon after that July 13th, that fateful day that will forever live in infamy. And I said that that was almost like an endorsement. Essentially, Zuckerberg was, I mean, he has to know the impact of that statement. You're saying about a presidential candidate who's running in one of the most consequential elections, if not the most consequential elections of all time, you're saying that's one of the most badass things you've ever seen. That's not something you say about somebody you don't agree with, support, or in some way, shape, or form, at least like. By the way, bonus question, do you think Zuckerberg's going to vote for Trump? Or do you think he's going to vote for Kamala? Let me know in the comments down below. So maybe that video kind of lends itself to the idea of a young person who is allowed to change their mind, is allowed to evolve, is allowed to modify their viewpoints as they get older, smarter, wiser, exercise more critical thinking. Perhaps. I don't really care. I think it's completely selfish why he wrote that letter. I don't really care. What I care about is the impact on getting our country back. Now, the moment of truth. The video I told you have to see. Zuckerberg essentially confirms without a shadow of doubt the Hunter Biden laptop story is 100% unequivocally true, as well as many other resources have confirmed this. I don't know if you remember somebody back in the day not only calling us all nuts, but saying even worse things. Check this out.
They know it's a lie.
Yeah, well,
that's where we are in 2020.
The New York Post
just to let you know that they're still talking to Russians. And by the way, Russian hoax, come on. Really, seriously, history will expose you all as fools and useful idiots for the Russians. It's for 4 years now. For 4 years now, there has been a line from Russian agents into the campaign. It's unbelievable how stupid you think Americans are. How stupid you think Americans are. For you can just say Russian hoax. Seriously? It's the idiocy, the sheer idiocy. You are revealed right now, but you will be revealed throughout history for basically running cover for Russians.
I would love to hear your comments now, Joe. Care to comment? Leave a comment down below, Joe. I throw this off to you guys. Wasn't that just amazing? Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on Zuckerberg, the impact? Is he telling the truth, not telling the truth? Is he covering his ass? Is he actually trying to do something right for once? Let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to hear from you. Oh my God, these comments, I can't wait to read these. Please, please, please let me know. Tap that thumbs up because it helps us reach more people. It's not for me. It's not for vanity. When you tap the thumbs up, it allows us to spread out and get our video to more people. The algorithm pushes it out. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here. Our free newsletter is down below. Subscribe and follow. The newsletter is amazing. Subscribe to that. I mean, it costs you nothing and you're always in the know. And as always, may God bless you and God bless America. I'll see you soon.